This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Weekend Review on this 27th day of April 2025 as we roll towards Backlash. A couple weeks away already. That'll be here before you know it. WWE haven't really released their full card yet. I mean, we had some major progressions in some matches storylines this week that told us what matches could happen at Backlash. One of them, obviously, is the Randy Orton and John Cena match. That is official for the St. Louis event. With Randy Orton being from St. Louis, crowd should be hot. Not that anyone really expects Orton to win, but still going to be a fun story nonetheless. And these two guys are legends, and these two guys have one of the most storied rivalries in all of WWE. So still, we should take it for what it's worth. It's not about who's going to win. It's about how Cena wins and about the moments that we could see a potential Randy Orton victory, at least even those that all of us pretty much know Randy's not going to win. Can they make us believe for a moment? That's really what we should look for here. I don't expect it to be a 5-star classic. Randy Orton is still capable of, I think, 3 to 4 stars, but even in his condition or his age, with Cena being so limited, I just don't. I'm not worried about the quality. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not worried about it. I'm not expecting the quality of the match to be a 5-star match. It's about story. It's about progressing Cena's heel character, and I'm interested to hear your guys' take on Cena because I've done so much ranting about The Rock, and I will pause on that, or at least minimize it as best I can in this podcast, because that's seemingly what all I've done is just rant about The Rock's absence and how just insanely unprofessional it was, and or at least maybe unprofessional is not the right phrase. It was a misstep, a massive misstep by The Rock and company, whoever made the decision and signed off on it. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But we've went over that. We've gone over that. We've done it. We've been through it. So I will continue to talk about it as if news comes out. If The Rock continues to talk about it and continues to progress with his responses, or more Dave LaGreca and Rock commentary comes out and we get more to the story, then I will, I'll continue to talk. But for now, I'll put that whole debacle, which is a nice way of putting it, a debacle, on pause, as really it's been totally just panned by everybody from Eric Bischoff to the PW Torch, really good guys over there, to Pro Wrestling Net, and really all the big shows that we all know, right? So WWE is feeling the heat on that. So moving on with John Cena, though, I'm curious to ask you guys, how do you feel about his heel turn thus far? Putting the Rock story aside and the fact that there's been no explanation about selling his soul, which was the whole reason for it, right? So we unfortunately have to take a massive part of the story and put it on the side and not talk about that because we've gone down that road. But if we just look at John Cena's heel turn, and we look at how he's reacted to the crowd or the things he's said, how does everyone feel? I'm having trouble still feeling it's authentic. And I don't know if it's because he's still wearing the same attire, or if it feels like he's trying. I don't know. I feel it's a little bit inauthentic. I feel like it's still not like what it could have been as far as a heel turn so far. He's attacking the crowd for us being lowlifes, or it's a dysfunctional relationship, which I appreciate the analogy, and to some degree it's true. It is a very dysfunctional relationship if you're talking about a one-on-one relationship and expanding it to 1 million people. Like, I get the premise. I don't know. I have trouble still trying to detach the John Cena we've seen for 25 years into this John Cena. It's not something I disagree with. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm going back on my reaction initially to the heel turn that I think was still a great idea. I would have done it even after everything we've seen, even after the whole debacle of what we just said with The Rock. I still would have pushed forward with it because I would not have wanted to get to December of this year where John is really calling it quits, and always wondered what would that have been. That would have been the one critique I would have had is, okay, we saw John Cena's greatest hits. He's still an excellent promo. We saw the happy-go-lucky John Cena version of himself, and I just wish I knew what the heel turn looked like. And you can't ever go back. This is your one chance. So I still 100% support this decision. I just have trouble with the execution of some of the things he's said and how he's attacked the fans. It still feels a little bit inauthentic, and maybe he's still trying to adjust. I mean, again, remember, this is his first time being a heel. Okay, he was fine. A little bit of a heel in Dr. Thugonomics, but for all intents and purposes, he's not been a heel before in front of this many people. At this stage of his career, I mean, it's been 20 years since he's been a heel. So there is some adjustment he needs to make about how to progress and how to move forward with this. But he's attacked the fans, and Randy Orton attacks his, this past week attacks the fact that he's not a dad. And then he tells Randy Orton, how dare you father shame me. And he said, well, I don't need kids because I've been raising yours for 25 years. Well, there's a couple problems with that logistically. Well, number one, if you've been raising ours for 25 years, well, then you're doing a very piss poor job because you've been an absentee father for, I don't know, the last 10. Right? So that's a very bad father figure to have. If we're talking about just massive holes in the logic here, well, dude, you haven't been around for most of the time. All right. So it's a good thing to say. And it's a very clever thing to say by John that it's been, he's had to raise ours. But for him to bring up the fact that he's not a dad is, woof, that's pretty brutal. But John Cena said he doesn't want to. And he actually went on an interview, I think a year or two ago. I forget what podcast it was. And he said the reason he doesn't want kids is he just wants to enjoy life, and he wants to, he doesn't feel he'd be able to dedicate the time he needs to. In other words, look, this is what it is. Everybody can make their own decisions, but if your idea of not having kids is because you want to be able to take your car and drive it around the entire state of Florida, which is what he said, that's selfish. I mean, I'm not saying if you don't have kids, you're a selfish person, but he gave reasons that were alluding to the fact he's selfish. Now, I know a lot of people can't have children. Some people elect not to. I generally think it's a good idea, despite the struggles that come with it, despite the stress that comes with it, despite the selfishness that will be extracted from you, and it's a very painful process. The joys that come with it, I think, far outweigh all of the sacrifice that you have. And again, speaking from somebody who has two kids, that's what I think. And it's how our species continues to survive too, by the way. So there's that. If we don't continue to procreate, well, we'll cease to exist. But I'm going way off track. If John Cena is giving these reasons of basically saying he's too selfish, which is essentially what he said, then it's a good thing to bring up by Orton. Orton saying, that you need to become a father that will humble the hell out of you. I don't care who you are, man or woman, having children will humble the S out of you. And I think that was a great thing to bring up. And Orton, at the end of that segment, getting attacked by John in a very vicious way, a new aggression by Cena, which was cool. His stomps, I've never seen him go to town like that with his stomps on Orton. I thought he was going to get the title belt shot. Instead, he got an RKO. And the RKO, I strangely didn't want to see because I want Cena to live on that title belt shot. That I want him to be his brass knucks. You know what I mean? Like the William Regal brass knucks. That's what I want that to be for Cena over the coming months to be able to retain his championship. And I think what's going to happen, early prediction, in the Randy Orton John Cena match at Backlash is probably the same way that the Cody match ended with the title belt shot. It'll be an RKO. I don't know if Travis Scott will be there. He is one of the most hated men in the company right now. I mean, probably from top to bottom in real life. People just like, they don't, I don't want this guy anywhere near professional wrestling. And he continues to somehow tell everybody he's a fan. I don't care if you're a fan. I'm a fan, but I don't belong in the ring. I weigh more than Travis Scott, and I'm probably 4 inches shorter than him. Right? So this dude, just because you're a fan doesn't qualify you to be in the ring. Just because you are you're an artist doesn't qualify you to be in the ring. But my guess is at Backlash, when all is said and done, it'll be a similar finish that we saw at WrestleMania with Cody and the belt shot. Hopefully no Travis Scott. Unless somebody's going to actually give him a real receipt. I just don't need it. But the other danger is with the massive, I've never seen anything like this, the massive backlash of the WrestleMania Night 2 main event that WWE received. Do they dare go anywhere near that type of finish again? They might tease it and then do something that's much more crowd-pleasing, but it's going to ultimately end with John Cena winning. So there's only so much happiness you can give the fans, even though you're giving them the same result as the Night 2 main event. So there's going to be a fine line. How does Randy Orton lose? Does The Rock actually show up? Maybe he does. And you know what? What's going to be great when The Rock finally returns? I want to see two things. And again, I know I'm not talking about the whole debacle at WrestleMania, but I want to say moving forward, okay? That's the difference. I know I've talked a lot about it, but I'm talking about moving forward with The Rock when he does come back. Is number one, how does the crowd react to him? Do they boo him? I want people to boo him. I don't want people doing the Rock pop, even though he's a heel and he's the final boss and, he can get the crowd to turn on him. I don't want the people cheering for him. Unfortunately, I think they probably will no matter what, because it's like a knee-jerk Pavlovian reaction. They just cheer when The Rock comes out, just like you hear cheers for John Cena when he comes out, because they're so excited to be there for the fact that, people don't get to see these guys anymore. So I still think The Rock will probably get cheered whenever he does decide to come back. But even more importantly, what the promo will be to someone when they finally get The Rock in the ring, whoever that's going to be. You talk about some low-hanging fruit that they have against Dwayne. They should just absolutely hammer him the first thing they should say is, well, Dwayne, hey, nice of you to show up, and then pause. Let the crowd cheer that. And then you could continue to hammer him, but you have to be careful of making sure that you're not going into too much of a destructive or self-destructive language, because you could go too far and talk about how storyline, you should have been here for the story. Like, you got to be careful. Even though WWE has no shame anymore about exposing the business, even even on air during Raw, SmackDown, PLEs. You talk about the destruction of kayfabe, which even though there was shreds of it left, but when you create the post show that essentially just says, hey, let's talk about how what you just saw wasn't real and the stories that we just told after every PLE. It's built in to the show. I know not most people watch the post, but the fact that it's actually immediately following, it's like, hey, here's how we made the cake. We're going to tell you every single time. I hate that. But again, I'm the old fuddy-duddy, right? So anyway, back to the Randy Orton thing. I think it's a fun program. We should just appreciate it because it's not going to last long. And this is apparently their only match with John's limited dates. You have to look forward to who's his next opponent going to be for the championship. And also, how does he take the championship home, which he said he was going to do, and then he continues to show up. So why aren't you doing it now? That's kind of weird. And also, I still don't follow his logic of, well, they'll create another tinfoil championship and they'll crown a new champion, but I'll be the last real champion. Again, how is no one pointing out? I know that they probably can't because it'll undermine everything he says, but look, you can take the championship home all you want, but the belt is a symbol of what the championship means, what being a champion means, what being the WWE Undisputed Champion means is not just carrying that physical belt. You can carry that physical belt and bury it in the sea. It doesn't matter because it's about who's champion. It's what's the meaning behind the championship is what you can never destroy or stop or artificially pause. You can't do that. I don't know how no one's pointing this out to John in a promo. Like, okay, dude, sure, take the championship home. The WWE management will they'll strip you of the championship. You can keep the belt, keep it all you want, but have you forgotten that that's just a symbol of what being the champion means? So like you're not stopping anything. All you're doing is taking the championship belt home, but you're not taking the true meaning of being the champion home. The lineage will continue. There is nothing you can do physically in this world to stop the lineage of that championship. How many times? I mean, the championship belt, the physical look of the belt has changed over the years. It has changed from, I mean, you look at the Attitude Era. Look what Cody Rhodes did in his promo before, I think it was the SmackDown before WrestleMania. He had all the championship belts there. Well, did the lineage of that championship stop at every single time they changed the look of the belt? No, it didn't. It didn't change at all, right? It just continued. Now, it is a little bit rocky in terms of the lineage of combination of belt and Universal Championship, and then they combine the belts and then split them again. It gets really into the weeds. But if you're talking about just a simple way of looking at it, the WWE Championship has decades and decades and decades of lineage and many examples of when it changed its look. The lineage was not interrupted because they changed the look of the belt and someone took it and went home or whatever. It doesn't matter what it looks like because it's just a symbol of what the championship means. So I don't know how no one's poked a hole in that thing. He can call himself the last real champion all he wants, and he can go home and we'll never see him again with that belt. That doesn't change anything. Think about what Medusa did on WCW Nitro, putting the women's championship in the belt. Did that stop the lineage of the championship for the women in WWE? No, of course it didn't. Right? So it's just, that's an obvious hole in the whole logic that someone should point out to him. Dude, you think we're that simple-minded? No, I don't. Anyway, moving on. All right. So again, the Orton stuff and Cena stuff opened the show, and that went for a while. I did count. It was 8 minutes before anybody spoke on the mic between Orton and Cena. It took 8 minutes of the show when it opened for anyone to even speak. That it felt like an eternity, but all right. So we then had Fraxium Nathan Frazier versus Fraxium Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Los Garza, Angel Humberto, who were with Santos Escobar. The match went 8 minutes and 20 seconds with Faxium and Axiom beating Los Garza in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, their first night on SmackDown, Frazier and Axiom. And that was fun to see. I think they did a fine job. And I think they're going to be a great addition to the tag team division. Again, now suddenly the tag team division is getting a boost in WWE. Suddenly they are becoming a focal point once again for SmackDown, and that's a good thing. And on Raw to some degree as well, with New Day winning the belts at WrestleMania. But you know, this is kind of the ebb and flow of the tag team division, where you think they're going to finally put a little bit more airtime for the tag team championships and tag team division, and then it just falls off. And I don't have no reason to believe this still won't be the case. I understand their acquisition of AAA. That certainly helps. I understand they've got the Street Profits that have kind of a new vibe to them and all that. But ultimately, we'll have to see if this has any kind of staying power. All right. So then we had DIY Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa seated in their dressing room while Tessitore hyped the TLC match. And then we had Tiffany Stratton come out, and she asked the fans what time it was. And then she said that it was Tiffy time at WrestleMania for 60,000 people. And she went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest of all time, Charlotte Flair, and the fans booed. And Stratton said there were times where she doubted herself, but she walked out of WrestleMania as champion. And she said people told her she was the next Charlotte Flair. She said there's only one Charlotte, but she guaranteed there's only one Tiffany. kind of your standard promo here. Nothing earth-shattering. Nothing that made you gasp or anything. It was an okay promo from Tiffany. Kind of your typical. I'm not the next anything. I'm the one and only this. Which is, I don't know. It's a little bit overused, I think, but it's true. Like I don't want to be the next anyone if I was a WWE star, because then you're always compared to that great star, and you'll never live up to that because there's only one original. So yeah, you might as well just be yourself. So that's when Jade Cargill comes out, and she said she's going to give credit where it's due. Jade spoke about that as she walked to the ring and saying Tiffany's match with Flair was impressive, but it put an even bigger target on her back. And she said that she has nothing but time after finishing her business with Naomi. And she came in the ring, and she said that she came to WWE to be a champion. And she said beating Charlotte doesn't make Stratton the best, especially when she hasn't faced her. And she said, put your money where your mouth is. And then referee came out and we got the match. Tiffany versus Jade. At least, I will say this. Jade, and I have been hopeful she will continue to improve, because she has lived and died based on her look. She has essentially made her entire career thus far how she looks. It's been all superficial. She's had some glaring glimpses of hope in the ring, but there hasn't been a sustained great match. And I think her match with Naomi at WrestleMania actually was as good as it probably could have been. And that was a big test. And her promos and why she's here need to be the next thing. And we got a little bit of we did get a mission statement here. Okay, I'm here to be a champion. Fine. Good. Okay. Good starting point. So I'm hopeful for Jade that this continues. I want her to be as big of a deal as they hoped that she could be when they signed her to the dotted line. And it's slow, but we're moving in that right direction. So she felt somewhat natural on the mic. Again, that's what we need to see. Just slow progression, and that was a good thing here. And this match here was about 8 minutes, which saw some fun, some fun moments, and a little bit of clunkiness still on Jade's part. She still doesn't feel buttery smooth in the ring. She doesn't feel like she's a grizzled veteran. It feels like she's still thinking a little too much of what's the next move, and a little too mechanical at times. And I'm only saying that as I want to see her improve criticism. Not that I'm saying that, oh my God, she's awful and what are they doing? They should fire her. Quite the contrary. All I'm looking for is progression, and I'm not looking for perfection, because I see what they see in her, which is money. And yeah, I think it's coming. It just, as long as she continues on this path. So this match here wasn't super smooth, but when she hits a move, man, because of her strength, she can compensate for mistakes. If someone doesn't, help her as much as they need to when jumping with her, or maybe needing to balance her opponent, she's got the strength to compensate for mistakes in the ring, which is a good thing. And the power bomb she hit on Tiffany, I think, was very good. That was great. Great false finish. But it ended up with Naomi interfering after a superplex, which was a nice spot in the match. And having Naomi come out and do her punches, which, look, I love Naomi's new character. I wish she had gotten a promo this week. I love her caution tape. She's a great new look. But the punches she threw at Jade were just horrible. I mean, that's what, if you're, in middle school, what a fight looks like. Not as a presumed professional athlete who has a decade in the business. That's not how you throw punches. It looked like two little girls fighting, particularly on Naomi's end, with the punches she threw that were just, it looks like that was your first fight. I understand she's trying to put intensity into it. So it just made me laugh, but also shake my head. I go, Naomi, please. Like, your punches, not only did they look amateur and it's like your first fight ever, but also they're not even looking good. Like, they're even coming close to landing as like a foot from her face. So I have to just point that out. That kind of stuff, it's just when it looks like crap, but I can appreciate the effort. I feel mixed on it. So just I would advise against those punches. If they don't look good, stop doing them. Is really what it is. If you can't throw a working punch that looks good, don't ever throw a working punch. So, all right. Anyway, Naomi is clearly not done with Jade. So Jade is not yet in the championship picture. Now, we could get a triple threat. It could be Jade, Naomi, and Tiffany at Backlash, and it's very possible. It also could be Charlotte interjecting herself next week or something, because we're only 2 weeks from Backlash now, and that means they got to put a card together quick. And there's no time for new rivalries next week or the week after. It's got to be what's kind of here is what we're going with. So it could be a triple threat or a fatal four-way with Tiffany if Charlotte comes in next week. But I fully expect Tiffany to retain no matter what. Backlash, I don't even know the last major title change that happened at Backlash. Because, I mean, that is the statistically least likely PLE of the entire year to have a title change is the night or the PLE after Mania. I mean, I don't even know the last time it happened. I'm saying major, not like a tag team title. I'm talking like, IC, US, World, or WWE. I don't know. Maybe my memory's bad too, but it's typically not in, especially the top titles, World and WWE. I don't even know the last time it changed hands for men or the women. All right. So let's continue here as we had Jacob Fatu come out, and he had his title around his neck and wore a jersey. And people are still chanting his name, and they should. Solo said everyone saw at WrestleMania what he already knew, that Jacob Fatu is the future of the company. And he said no one in his family wanted Fatu in WWE other than him. And the fans gave the what treatment, which is, I don't even know what to say about that anymore. And Fatu took the mic from Solo and told him not to get it twisted. Fatu recalled Solo, or telling Solo that he would win the U.S. title and bring it home to the family with or without him. And Fatu played to the crowd while holding up the title and said he knows the title makes him America's most wanted and a menace to society. LA Knight comes out and he recalled saying Fatu would eat a BFT and said that's what he did at WrestleMania, and conceded that Fatu beat him and said he gives credit where it's due, but said people told him he had a hell of a match at WrestleMania, and Knight said he wasn't worried or isn't worried about having a great match. He's worried about winning. Hallelujah, Knight. Preach. Yes. Thank you. Can we put this on a poster board and put it in every locker room that the wrestlers change in? Can we put that in everything all the time? Can this be just a propaganda piece for everyone in WWE? Put it in the NXT training center. Put it at the door to the entrance of backstage. Put it on, plaster it on WWE headquarters. That when it comes to promos, you're here to win. Putting on a great match is a side effect. It shouldn't be your stated goal. So that continues to happen in WWE, and I'm glad. Finally, someone said I'm not here to put on great matches. That's not my concern. My concern is to just win. You want to be able to create that illusion, that magic. Part of that is to make sure that you're telling fans that what you're trying to do is win. You're not trying to steal the show. That is a byproduct of your efforts. That shouldn't be what you say. I don't know. So that's just my own opinion that I don't know if any of you share. So, but Drew McIntyre comes out and he talked about beating Damian Priest in one of the most violent matches in history, and looked into the camera and thanked Priest, saying it was an absolute pleasure to beat him in front of his entire family, and spoke about fighting the baddest dog in the yard and points to Jacob Fatu. And he then pointed over to Knight, and Knight was lying on the top turnbuckle. And McIntyre said Knight always has a joke, and he said the only joke around here was your last U.S. title run. Knight dropped from the ropes and said that he'd say that McIntyre's last title run was a joke, but he can't remember it. And that's when Knight said if McIntyre thinks he deserves the title shot, he should get in the ring and show him. That's when McIntyre drops the mic and gets in the ring. And that's when Nick Aldis comes out and booked McIntyre and Knight for a shot at the U.S. Championship. That match lasted, let's get the timestamp here. That was later in the show. But, okay, so next up, if I'm going to go in order here. Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega for the Women's Championship. 6.5 minutes. We have a new champion. Zelina Vega wins her first singles championship in WWE. I think the phrase "about damn time" is appropriate here. She's been here long enough. She has connected with the fans. She, I think, never really got a fair shot at becoming women's champion. I don't know if the timing never worked, if she had heat backstage, or if she just... I don't know what the case is, but they never really allowed her to have a run with the championship. And now she's got a championship. It may not be the championship, but it's a step in the right direction for Zelina Vega. It's who you kind of envision being in the picture when they created this championship out of nowhere. Same with the Intercontinental title for the women. And it allows more women to be able to claim that they're champions. And to some degree they are. Again, my concern is that they can't manage the championships that they currently have, much less trying to invent new ones out of whole cloth and then also trying to manage them. But I think this is, so far for the U.S. title for the women, it has been a positive. Chelsea Green is just one of those beloved characters because she's just so ditzy, she's at first was so unlikable that she became likable because she was so good at being unlikable, and it came across authentic. Now, Zelina Vega wins after hitting a destroyer and getting the victory. Vega held up the title and got emotional on stage, and I bet you that was real. I hope, she deserves it. She took a picture, I think, on Instagram or on X and put a picture of the U.S. title in her bed with her. I believe it. Good for her. Good for her. I don't know how long this title run is going to be for Zelina. I would guess that the over-under on this is probably about 2 months, 3 months on. I'd have to see, and I don't mean this in a way that's to degrade Zelina's run, but I do wonder if they are positioning her as a champion as they go into the back to overseas, if they're going to Puerto Rico again, to be able to bring her in as champion in Puerto Rico. I'll have to look at their schedule. They've done that at times with certain champions, and just the timing is just way too convenient to be any other reason. So again, Zelina's totally deserving, and I'm not saying her title win was because of their upcoming schedule, but either way, she's a champion. The end result is still the same. All right. We then have Carmelo Hayes and The Miz stand in front of the Dre Trophy while both men were dressed in white. And Miz claimed that he sacrificed himself so Hayes could win, and Miz gave Hayes a box that contained a chain with a hideous gold Andre the Giant head hanging from it. And Miz said he was heading to the ring to get something off his chest, and he told Hayes to stay backstage. And yeah, the Dre head was just horrible. It's hideous. But Miz came in the ring and vented about Rey Fenix and Joe Hendry getting a WrestleMania match. And he said Hendry is an internet meme. Miz said he's sick of people showing up in WWE and getting opportunities. And Miz tried to close with his catchphrase, but the lights go out. And Aleister Black comes out to his old music. A welcome back chant broke out. And The Miz said, "Hey, who the hell do you..." And that's when he got kicked with a Black Mass kick. And Black sat down cross-legged next to Miz. So Black comes in, makes a big impact here, I guess, to whatever degree you view The Miz as a big deal. The Miz being left off WrestleMania is a bit of a head scratcher. Not as much as Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn being left off of WrestleMania is really one that needs to be investigated by the authorities. But also, Nia Jax being left off the WrestleMania card, kind of incredible given the run she had, which is a really good run as women's champion, and among others. But Aleister Black coming out here, it's the right move, bringing him in as a babyface. Bringing him back to start as the gimmick he left with. So I hope they modify that, though, and they understand what they have instead of what happened the last time. But The Miz is also a guy that is always there to just be the punchline for any upcoming heel. Or, upcoming babyface. Somebody being reintroduced to the company like Black. He's the guy that can make anybody look good. He's more than good in the ring. He can cut good promos. He's never going to be the guy. Never, ever, ever will be the guy. I think we've established that. But he's as they say in the business, because I'm in the business, right? So I can say these phrases. Or am I one of those internet fans? I don't know. Check with Paul Levesque. But either way, if I don't get fined, I'm going to use the phrase, he's a hell of a hand, because he is. The Miz is. There's no doubt about it. And having him feud, probably very briefly, with Aleister Black is the right move for Aleister Black. And it also puts the Miz in a situation with, I don't know, something to do. So if you're a Miz fan, even though you know what the end result's going to be of this program, still good to see him. So that's when we have Byron Saxton interviewing Belair, who had her hand taped up and a finger in a splint. And she said she walked into Mania with a couple of broken fingers and said it was all worth it. And that they all fought hard, and she can at least say she's proud of what they were able to do in a three-way match at WrestleMania. Belair credited Io Sky for taking the perfect opportunity to capitalize and said she would have done the same. She took issue with Rhea sneaking into the match and said they haven't seen the last of one another, and added that SmackDown is her home. Okay. So a couple things here. Not many people are talking about this interview here, but Belair seemingly is staying babyface for the time being. There's no hint of her turning. Maybe they don't have plans and they're just forging through WrestleMania season, letting the fans calm down, and they're getting back to homeostasis of just cheering for Belair. And that could very well be the case. I think they're testing fans here. Now, also the fact that Belair is injured is perfect timing. If you're worried about a babyface getting booed and you don't want them to get booed and stay the good guy or good gal, you need them to take time off, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. Even if you're the most hated heel in the company, coming back as a babyface is automatically what's going to happen no matter what. So I think if this is timed out right, and it looks like it is, Belair should be safe as a babyface for at least the foreseeable future. And I don't know how long she's going to be out. I wouldn't think it's more than a month or two if it's just broken fingers. And we'll have to see there. But also a couple things. This is the whole piggybacking on the idea that they want to put on a show or have great matches. She said she was proud of what they were able to do in the three-way. Now, yes, that's something that, again, it was an incredible match. Probably one of the best opening matches to WrestleMania I can remember. It was the polar opposite of the night before. And credit to all three women. But again, shouldn't her whole deal be, hey, I lost, I'm not happy about it, instead of just, I'm so happy with what we were able to accomplish. It's like taking a bow at the end of a performance. One of these just little things that just eat away at you if you're trying to generate the magic for yourself of what makes you love pro wrestling. It's these things that just, whether you even realize these things or not, I think a lot of it eats away at our subconscious probably, and makes you go, hey, yeah, if you're worried about the performance, shouldn't you be worried about effing winning? And if you lose, shouldn't you be talking about how devastating it is to lose? But no, she credits what they're able to do. No, that really just means, I'm so happy we had a great match. Shut up. I mean, just shut up. This is anybody who says this. But Belair credited Io for capitalizing. She said she would have done the same thing. Well, yeah. Bruh, it's a triple threat. That's what you do. If you don't do that, you should not be in a triple threat, or you don't understand the rules of a triple threat, in which case you should not be in WWE. So these things, I know what they're trying. Again, I'm breaking this down, and many of you are just like, shut up. Why are you complaining? Some of these promos, though, when you break them down, and I know I'm not supposed to notice because the sin of noticing is what I really commit the most. Some of these are just the most asinine comments that are made by a lot of stars, not just Bianca. I'm picking on her because she said it on SmackDown. But yeah, you should have done the same thing. No, right? No crap. So she took issue with Ripley sneaking in, and so that's good. I mean, they're eventually going to get to Bianca and Rhea one-on-one. That's what I am looking forward to, and I very much have been wanting for years now. Okay, so then we have Drew McIntyre and LA Knight for the U.S. Championship, a shot at the U.S. Championship. And this match went almost 10 minutes with Drew McIntyre beating LA Knight by DQ. And the reason is, as McIntyre shot Solo a nasty look, who was there, and shot up and started his countdown, Damian Priest pulled McIntyre out of the ring and attacked him to end the match. Priest then chokeslammed McIntyre through the broadcast table. Knight confronted Priest. Jacob Fatu showed up and then hit them both with a suicide dive. Fatu ran Priest into the ring post and then ran Knight into the ring steps. And Fatu got both men in the ring, hit them with hip attacks and moonsaults. Fatu stood in the ring and held up the U.S. title. Okay. So, a DQ finish here. Not the worst thing in the world. Again, you can kind of feel when two guys or two women are on the same level, and both of them probably shouldn't win, or I'm sorry, lose the match. One of them shouldn't win cleanly. There should be some tomfoolery going on. I don't hate DQ finishes by default. I've only come to dislike them because for so long they were just overused. But I think in this case, it was the right call because Knight is a guy that the fans love. Drew McIntyre is a guy they're trying to move up the ladder. And either man taking a defeat here cleanly wouldn't have been, I think, a good time for that to happen. So DQ finish was the right move. And having Damian Priest come out and attack McIntyre. Again, guys, don't forget, it's called Backlash for a reason. It's essentially the WrestleMania leftovers. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of times you have WrestleMania matches you'd love to see again. And it looks like, based on the results of SmackDown, McIntyre and Priest are going to have another match at Backlash. Don't know what it is. Could be a cage match. They've already done a street fight, so I don't know what this next presumed match at Backlash looks like. But it's going to be more violent. And it could be how about this? A first blood match. I mean, they're not shy of doing blood anymore, which is really awesome. My guess is first blood. Because I don't know where they go. They can't have... I mean, a cage match to me is actually a step down because I mean, cage matches a lot of times are less violent and they don't keep anybody out. And your objective or your path to victory is running out of the cage like a coward. That's how you win. It's stupid. So until they take those rules away, then I have no interest in cage matches as they're currently presented. But to me, first blood makes sense. I mean, I guess Hell in a Cell is a little bit overboard, but I think that's what I'm going to go with, first blood. All right. Then we had R-Truth catching up with John Cena backstage in the parking garage, and he told him he's his hero from the beginning. Truth told Cena to call him if he ever needed him, and Cena walked away. Jimmy Uso showed up and asked Cena when Cena became so whack, and Truth said there are two sides to every story, and there was some more comedy from Truth. And then we had next week, Aleister Black versus The Miz announced for next week in Des Moines, Iowa. And then we get the Street Profits versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY in a TLC match for the WWE Tag Team Titles. This match went 22 minutes and 30 seconds. Long main event by today's standards. I thought the match was well done. It seems like the new attitudes or kind of aura around the Street Profits is much needed. I still think they don't really have a personality per se. It's been very subtle over the years of them transitioning from this really, to me, obnoxious team that was all about solo cups and all about the smoke or whatever. And I don't know. It took forever them to transition out of that. And then they went with Bobby Lashley and turned heel. But then they were back babyface. And then they fell off the face of the earth. And then they kind of come back. And here they are as champions. And hey, there's a lot of talent in this team. There's a lot of talent, a lot of chemistry, a lot of years. They've got a great body of work here. The Street Profits winning here and winning the tag team titles was, I think, the right move. And again, you saw the Motor City Machine Guns have some great spots. DIY, you know what they can do and what they're capable of. Some really just spots that made you. I mean, I think this was in a lot of ways a PLE worthy main event. The finish, for those at home that didn't see it, was Gargano pulling Ford down. He got him in between the rungs of the ladder. Gargano climbed the ladder, got his hands on the belts, but Sabin climbed the other side. Ford recovered, climbed up the middle of the ladder, knocked both opponents down, and then removed the belts to win. Now, there was some kind of weird moments where people forget how to climb. These uber, all-world athletes suddenly can't put one foot in front of the other when it counts. They just, the steps of a ladder, the rungs of a ladder just perplex them. Every step is like solving a Rubik's Cube. They just don't, they look at it and go, huh? They just go, hold on. And you can see like the math equation bubbles above their heads, like of how to proceed. They're not sure. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm only crapping on that part of the presentation because that's something that happens all the time. But without that, how are you supposed to present a really good ladder match? I understand why it's done. I just have to poke fun at it. But other than that, hey, I really enjoyed this match. Really enjoyed it. Hell of an effort by all parties. And the Street Profits win. Really, really good. A lot of people have been saying, why the hell wasn't this at WrestleMania? Good question. Good question. It was PLE worthy. Dare I say WrestleMania worthy? I would agree with that sentiment. So I think they made the case. They made the case to put it at WrestleMania. Maybe next year. And keep Travis Scott out. Maybe Travis Scott, if he allows us to, we can bump his match next year and put in a tag team title match. But we'll see. So that was SmackDown this past week. Next week, by the way, Amanda's going to be returning. Thank you to Ryan Sprague, who did an excellent job for the last few weeks covering for Amanda. But she'll be back next week from holiday, and she will be covering SmackDown. But let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw, as it was the Raw after Mania, biggest one of the year. And let's see, John Cena came out. We saw that whole thing. We are sorry chant broke out from the fans, and Cena didn't accept it. And the great part, I like this line from Cena where he said, "You say I can't wrestle. I don't have to." And he talked about the countdown of dates that he has left. He had 36 dates. He's down to 27. Now down to 26. And he said, all I have to do is show up and do this. When that hits 0, the professional wrestling timeline stops cold. And he continued to talk about the fans are puppets. There's no one at WWE with his strength and speed and wisdom or ruthless aggression. Randy Orton entered the ring, and bam, RKO. And we know what we got on SmackDown this week with Orton's promo against Cena with another RKO. So, let's see. We then had the Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez matchup for the women's tag titles. And this match, I thought, let's see, how long did it go? That was a 12-minute match. And of course, no one's really remembering the fact that they dropped the belts to Liv and Raquel, and they're champions once again. It's all about the turn. So Becky Lynch had a 24-hour babyface run, turns on Lyra, and really just beats her down and leaves. Now, they're making a big deal about tomorrow night in, I don't know what city they're in, I'll have to look, but wherever they are for Raw, they're making a big deal. It's being promoted heavily as like the main thing tomorrow night, that Becky Lynch is going to explain her actions. She's going to explain why she did what she did, right? The old why, Becky, why. And I'm very interested to hear this because they must have something somewhat significant here if they're really promoting the hell out of this. So, yeah, sure, it's going to be Lyra versus Becky, probably for her Intercontinental title. And it should be. And Becky could very well win at Backlash. Again, presumed match, but I don't see any other path. So there's that. But they're heavily promoting it. So, I mean, that's not a bad thing. You just think that if they're, when they're promoting it this much, there's got to be something even bigger. I don't know if that's the case, though. It's just we have one of the biggest stars in the company and on the female side going to explain her actions for turning. And what I'm also interested in is, what exactly is she going to change about this heel run versus her last one? Because her last one, honestly, was kind of underwhelming. Fans didn't buy in. They did not buy in because some people just aren't cut out to be bad guys and gals. They're just not. Ask Stone Cold, right? Even ask John Cena to some degree. It still feels weird. I went over this before, and I'm not trying to rehash it, but it's a perfect example. Thus far, still feels kind of weird. I don't know if it's because he didn't change his attire or if his entire attack is about the fans. His entire attack is about the fans, and obviously the glaring hole as to why he sold his soul. That doesn't help either. So maybe if those things are resolved, I'll feel a little bit different. But so far, I would rate John Cena's heel run a little oddly underwhelming thus far. I still 100% support it, but it feels underwhelming. And hopefully for Becky Lynch, this go around, she has a different strategy. I don't know if it's new music, probably she tried different hairstyles when she was a heel too. Fans just never really took to it. So perhaps she has some new tricks up her sleeve to get us to hate her. All right. What else happened on Raw? We had, let's see here. It's just so much. We had Rusev make an appearance, or a return rather. And he's essentially, I think he's a heel. He attacked Otis and Tozawa. So Rusev, I think, is a heel, even though the crowd cheered him. We'll have to see what that follow-up is tomorrow night. So I don't know if Rusev Day is back, but crowd was into it. We then had Io Sky come out. She stood in the ring and thanked everybody. You deserve it chants. That's when Stephanie Vacour comes out. Good reaction. And she stood in the ring with Sky, and the crowd was into it. And Stephanie congratulated Io and introduced herself as the NXT Women's Champion, she also was the NXT Women's North American Champion, I believe, if I caught that right. For the only time any woman has held both titles at the same time. So that's when Stephanie Vacour said, hey, I want to challenge the best of the best. And that's when Io accepted. We get an excellent match here. Excellent match between Io and Stephanie. But like the Drew McIntyre match I mentioned on SmackDown with LA Knight, you kind of knew that this was going to be a bit of a schmoz finish because both women need the victory. Io Sky's coming off of a hell of a main event. In my mind, one of the main events of WrestleMania, even though it wasn't officially one. It was an incredible opening match. And Stephanie just got introduced. You're not going to have her lose. So this match ended in 14 minutes with a no contest because we had Roxanne Perez spoil the match. Rhea Ripley comes out and cleared Perez from the ring. And so you have a lot of fun future matchups. That's what this was. It was a lot of, hey, look at this potential matchup with her, Stephanie and Rhea. You have Roxanne and Rhea. Yeah, you have Io and Stephanie again. You have Roxanne and Io again. Like, there's a lot there. So that's really what that was set up for. It was a great segment. So Jey Uso comes out just to basically, I guess metaphorically have a makeout with all the fans in attendance. Just everybody line up and you get 5 seconds to kiss Jey Uso. That's essentially what this was, and that's what happened here. No turn because Sami Zayn came out, and I know everyone else was thinking it. Sami was there to just congratulate Jey, and just say, I almost wasn't here, but how could I not? You're my Uso, you're my brother, blah, blah, blah. And he congratulated him. Same with Jimmy. And I go, who's turning here? You're waiting for it, especially the look that Sami was giving Jey when he was on the top rope or on the middle rope, and Sami was just standing in the middle of the ring. I would go, oh, crap, Haluva. Nope. At least not yet. Not yet. We'll see if that changes. So we then had What else? My gosh. Gunther attack Cole and Pat McAfee. McAfee came to the aid of Cole. Then he got attacked, and Cole went back to announcing, but that took Pat McAfee out of the show for the rest of the night, which was already like 3/4 of the way through anyway. And from the storyline perspective, Gunther has been suspended indefinitely and fined an undisclosed amount. So I don't know when we'll see Gunther again. Perhaps it probably is after Backlash. But that's also a good thing too. He had a devastating loss at WrestleMania. I almost said SummerSlam. He had a devastating loss at WrestleMania because that's a guy that should never, ever tap out ever. And if he does, it is deep into his career. Really deep. Like towards the end. When you're trying to anoint somebody else. Gunther should not tap out, much less how quickly he did. I thought it was a terrible way to open WrestleMania. Not that the match was bad. The match was okay with Jay to open the WrestleMania night one. You kind of knew Jay was going to win anyway. But the way and how quick Gunther tapped was just criminal. Like I mentioned with the WrestleMania night one review, somebody needs to go to prison for that decision. I don't care if you're running low on time. Oh, we got to wrap this one up. Go home. I say, F you. We can at least wait 15 seconds to make it look like Gunther's struggling. Now, I disagree in principle that Gunther should have even tapped out at all. Like, that wouldn't have been a thing. But if I had no choice, what you do is you have Gunther at least look like he's effing struggling. And instead, he's like, oh, okay, I'm going out. Bye. No, okay, tap. What? This is Gunther. So I thought that was horrible. So Gunther taking time here, good move. Just like Cody taking some time, good move. If you're trying to keep everybody in their place, you're trying not to have the fans turn on Cody, good move. Because that was starting to happen if they're worried about it. Time off will heal all things. Time away, time in general heals all things. And hopefully in Gunther's case, not that they're trying to turn him babyface, but they're trying to maintain his worth, his aura. Then you gotta keep him away right now. Dominic with Finn and Carlito took on Penta for the IC title. Dominic turning babyface here. He beats Penta. No turn yet from Finn, so that hasn't happened yet. And that's when Seth Rollins comes out, and we all know the end of Raw, right? With Roman coming out and spearing Seth. We all know that you knew that there had to be something up the sleeve if this is the main event. And Punk gets his ass kicked. Roman gets his ass kicked because of Bron Breakker, who comes to the aid of Seth. And Paul Heyman standing at the in the middle of those two men. That's a Raw after Mania. That's a Raw after Mania. You're introducing new NXT stars, teasing potential future matchups. You have great action, massive storyline progression for Backlash, star power with Randy Orton, with John Cena, setting up the main event for the Backlash. You also have notable absences, which again is fine. You have championship celebrations with Jey Uso. If you're in that camp of loving on Jey, then you had your night. It was a great pacing and great show to Raw. I thought it was a really good Raw for WrestleMania. Did it take the bad taste out of my mouth from the night 2 main event? It made me stop thinking about it for a minute, but it didn't give me the forgiveness in my heart for WWE. It just put my attention elsewhere, which is really, I think, all they could ask for. Because I'm sure they deeply are concerned about my opinions. Very concerned. I'm sure they are sweating bullets as to what I'm going to say. But they, at least for a night, took the fans' minds off of the debacle of night 2. So there is that. But thank you, everybody, for joining me here. I hope you enjoyed it on this Sunday night. Tomorrow, obviously, big night for Monday Night Raw. Not much time left till Backlash, so right from WrestleMania into Backlash, and then SummerSlam on the horizon, believe it or not, in just a few months. So Thank you, everybody, for joining me. You can head on over to Patreon if you want to go ad-free at patreon.com/WWE Podcast. If you want to listen to me on Spotify, I'm there. If you want to listen to me on Apple Podcasts, I'm also there. Both of them, you can also listen ad-free. So check it out. I'll be back, on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday for your Raw review. And then the rest of the week is the normal schedule. So thanks, everybody, as always. Take care. I'll talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.